Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Ain't Gonna Be No Stupid. I have a very long intro here from my friend, Esther Aguilar. She is someone that I met at a dog park. My brother had given me a book and reminding me of what is your third place? And I had, work and home. And then what is your third place? Well, the dog park for me was my third place. So I found her. At the time, she just had a pit bull Kaiser, and her husband, Frank, would come and they would think I was a little crazy. And of course I was. And then we ended up bonding when she got her dog, Bruce Wayne, who is a Boston Terrier. And boy, it just shows like we were just kind of like, friendly until she got her Boston, because I had a Boston Terrier pug, and then we just bonded from there. And then her Snapchat humor just made me fall in love with her. So I just hope that you also get to know her as well as I have through the years. So please welcome Esther Aguilar. Applause.
Hello.
So Esther, I like to start with a stupid, ignorant or innocent story. And it could be as recent as yesterday, or it could be something like from childhood. So let me tell a funny story. When I first taught, I always like to go first. And I taught in Los Angeles, my first years of teaching. I taught ESL to migrant workers. There was an influx in the Los Angeles area. And I remember in the interview, they said, well, the students don't speak much English. And I'm like, okay. And I had like 4 years of Spanish, but I didn't really know Spanish until better after I spent 3 years with them hearing Spanish all day, knowing they didn't speak any English. But one of the funny things is one time I was giving one of those standardized tests, and I had to read the directions in Spanish. And I had an instructional aide in the room, and she could have easily read the directions, but no, I wanted to read them. So instead of, forgive me, Spanish speakers, what I'm about to say here, but instead of saying pone círculo, like put a circle here, I said pone su culo aquí. So that means I said put your butt. That's a nice way of saying it. So that was like the funny, embarrassing story that my instructional aide told me that I had said during that class.
I'm sure she told you that after, right?
Yeah. Not in front of everyone.
In the moment.
No. Plus my name, when they would say Miss Perras, my name, if you want to translate that.
Yes, it's basically Miss Female Dogs or Miss Bees.
Yes.
You may.
So I said, okay, that's enough of that. Then just call me Miss Amy, right?
Right.
So
I think honestly that could also be my innocent funny story, because when I first met you and I found out what your last name was, I literally did think it was Perras, and I was like, oh, I wonder what her background is. Like I didn't feel like close enough to ask you at the time, but for a long time in my head I definitely did pronounce it Perras until later on that I was like, oh, it's not that, and totally
after you got done calling me Crazy Sally.
Oh my God, yes. Way after that.
Did you call me Crazy Sally because I would wheel in my yellow Beetle with my dogs on my lap?
Okay, so yes, partly. So you basically like zoom into that dusty parking lot in your yellow Beetle, definitely speeding past those train tracks, not even have your dogs tethered anymore, letting them run to the gate, which would give me a mini heart attack. Because what makes you think the dog's not gonna bolt the other way?
Mojo, I know my Mojo. He wanted to see you.
Right. And then come in, and I think the Crazy Sally part came A, because we didn't know your name. B, well, I think Frank would have asked you your name sooner, but Crazy Sally at the time would come into the dog park and spend a ton of time on her cell phone, on speakerphone.
Oh my gosh, I was on speaker.
Walking around, and we would see like Dukie and Mojo pooping and be like, oh my God, this lady's on her phone. She's not picking it up. Freaking Crazy Sally. So that's kind of where it came from, just like the speakerphone conversation and some missed poops, but only because you were on the phone. Like in retrospect, Avi, like you're a good dog owner, but we would be like, oh my God, this lady in the yellow Beetle's coming again.
Terrible.
Yes.
I know. It's so cool when you hear like, this just is such a whole show, hopefully, that we learn about judgments of people before you know them, right?
Right.
I got to tell another sad phone dog park story just because you mentioned it. I remember it was summer. I had gone dancing the night before. So the next day at the dog park, I'm all about texting my friends about how great the time we had.
Yeah.
Back turned, new dogs enter dog park. Don't pay attention. Dukie, the next thing I know, a Dukie screaming from high pitched scream.
Oh my gosh.
Turn around, and this new husky had him in his mouth. off the
That's so
ground.
scary.
And Mojo, thank God Mojo was there. He ended up jumping on top of him, kind of like, shut up, you know,
Oh
like
my
he
God.
protected
Yeah.
him. But then what did I do? Remember I was fighting to get a small dog area because of these
Oh yeah,
crazy
that's right.
dogs.
Yeah.
And I ended up taking him to the community center, plunking his bloody body on the counter and saying, this is why we need a small dog park. Oh my gosh. Well, they ultimately did get a small dog park, but then I moved to the city and I said, forget it. I need to go where it's safe. I need to move to the city.
That poor community center worker is just working some day job and
Right, traumatized.
Little bloody Dukie
Oh,
on his workspace on
traumatized.
in like a Wednesday afternoon.
Right.
Oh my God.
I gotta let him make a cameo to see, because I know your dog,
Yes.
your baby is, once we get to the
Yes.
situationship stories. But anyway, that was a long intro, but that was kind of more of our stupid story. What do you have for us? Like an innocent story that's.
I don't know. I guess it's hard to say. I've had a lot of stupid, innocent situations in my life.
No, it's okay. It's funny. One time, I want to remember your bonsai beagle. You were so good about taking in dogs, including Ace. You took in a 15-year-old Boston,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
what a love affair we had with him. Oh, and then when you guys visited me in the city, and Bonds just decided to plunk herself on the bed in the pillows, that was just precious. And then Kaiser, your pit bull, puts his beautiful little sexy body looking over the pool, right? And he just like chilling, like with his paws, just chilling out, looking out the high rise, like at all the peasants, you know. And oh my gosh! And then of course Brucey, we're gonna meet him in a minute. What a love bug he is.
Yes, so for sure.
It's
I know they're all so different, honestly. And like I feel like, I don't know. I guess like an innocent belief or a small like innocent situation. Honestly, like thinking about Ace now that you've mentioned him. Like when we first got him, you know, he was already 14 and it was like a hospice situation, you know, because he was older. And I literally like took him in, honestly, not knowing a whole lot, but innocently thinking that he'd be around a lot longer than he was.
Yeah.
But like I think it was 4 or 5 months that we had like because we did so much with him, it felt like a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
You know, but I remember thinking back like, oh my God, like Ace was only with us for like 4.5 months when like
I did not imagine that.
Yeah. And like I honestly, when I got him, I had hoped for at least a year, you know, but honestly I didn't know like, you know, in what rough shape he was or anything about him. But yeah, those 4 or 5 months felt like for sure at least a year, because you know we tried to do as much as we could with.
You did. And you used to pick my 2 dogs up.
Yes.
In my condo when I was at work with Ace, and you'd go to the dog park and wear them out.
Yes.
And I loved you for that. And then one time
I used to love doing that. Like I would go to your house and like these 2 dogs would be like pitter pattering with the little paws ready to go, no questions asked, like ready to be kidnapped. We don't know who you are. Our mom's not home. Just bring us back before she gets home from work. No one will know.
It was the best. And then little Ace had a little bunny hop, like his little back paws just together up the stairs. And then when I took care of him one time, I was so scared because, you know,
oh my gosh, yes, I remember that.
I was like, is he breathing? Oh my gosh, is he breathing? And just like Dukie now is 15, and I'm always looking over at him like, are you breathing?
I know.
Oh, this is hard.
I know, it's so nerve-wracking, but honestly, this is like something I've told a couple people after it was told to me, thinking about my beagle bonsai that, you know, you just mentioned earlier. She was terminal. I don't honestly know who told me this, but it has stuck with me, and I'll pass it on to you because obviously Dukie's older, not terminal by any means, but we need to like sometimes like slow down and like enjoy them while they're here, and not do so much like grieving while they're alive.
I've been doing that all year. I've been
like mourning them, mourning them, grieving while they're alive. Honestly, like it takes away so much time that we have with them while they're here. That's honestly like my one and only regret with bonsai, because I definitely did that with her. Like I spent a ton of time, you know, like anticipating, wondering what I would do, how it would be, and all of that, and I didn't need to do that. And sometimes I would snap out of it and just enjoy her. But yeah, I know it's really rough not to do that. It's hard just because it is, you know, a big event that will come up eventually. Yeah. But honestly, just, you know, enjoy them while they're here as much as we can. It's tough, but it's doable.
that kind of transitions into our stupid situationships. Like we could
Mm-hmm.
talk about our dog love affairs. And I know when you were with me, when Mojo went to college is the way I like to look
Yes.
at it. Cause I was an empty nester and I was like, this must feel like when your kid goes to college. But
Yeah.
it was really a beautiful moment. It all worked out. Like even that day we had a 4:00 appointment and at 1:00 he barked and the vet, Dr. Cutright, called and said, do you want to come in earlier? And it's just like he knew, because at the moment he was barking, like, come on, let's go. It was
Yeah.
and then the phone rings, you want to go now? It was weird. And then when I got there, he sat on my feet. Like, you know how they do that to protect you?
Yeah.
And then you and I, you were there because you're a vet tech. And
Mhm.
I know you know that. The audience doesn't know that. But thank God, like I knew you before you were a vet tech. You were going to school. And I was like, oh, I hope you're there when Mojo passes. And then
Yes.
you were there. And it was so beautiful. You even did the footprint after he died.
Yeah.
And we were both crying because our friend had just died and from the
Yeah.
dog park. And we were both, it was like the most beautiful moment. Like I had such a peace. And it also, one of the things about that situationship with Mojo, I feel like, I know this is weird and only dog moms really would understand. And even that phrase is going to freak people out. I know.
I know.
But it's like, I feel like I reparented myself by having Mojo, because he was kind of out there in your face, give you ambush kisses and just
Mhm.
sit on your lap without permission. And I feel like that was my personality,
Yeah.
but yet my upbringing was more like, sit still, be nice, be
Yeah.
quiet, shut up, suffer through. And I just feel like just letting him be who he was just made me happy. And I feel like I was
Yeah.
able to fix some stuff inside of me because of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I think I can probably agree as far as myself with Brucey and letting him be a wild child. And I'll tell everyone I'm a pushover. I should be correcting this dog, but like, he's having fun. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna like
he is.
limit him.
He's so
And
fun.
yeah, I feel like with Mojo, when he went to college, like I feel like everything did align perfectly
He really did.
that day. Just everything I think was great. And to go back, I was thinking about this yesterday while I was in the shower because I was already nervous about doing this.
Of course.
I honestly like hadn't thought about how like great and how many moving parts there were to like our friendship and everything that happened after. So like, meeting at the dog park, literally not speaking for months. And then, I come in with Brucey and you're literally like, oh my God, is that a Boston? And the rest is history, right?
Right.
But in talking and like getting to know you better, it's when you started talking about like where you took Dukie to the vet, like you were doing NRT, and that's how I learned about the place where I work at now. And honestly, like that is just, I feel like everything aligned even from the beginning. Like Dr. Cutright is one of my good friends now.
Yes.
Like you're one of my best friends. I've
Yes.
made 2 other great friends there, Kristen and Angie, who are honestly like my rocks out at work and outside of work. And
Excellent.
my other friend Amy too. Like, and all of that wouldn't have happened if we probably never struck that conversation. Because like I feel like NRT, like that type of medicine, which is muscle testing for people that don't know about it, it's not very well known. So like, how would I have found out about that? And end up, long story short, I start taking my dog there, start building a relationship with Dr. Cutright, who starts pushing me to apply there. And eventually I do go there and make all these great friendships. So
I know
it's
amazing, isn't it? Like
it really is.
You can't write people off. It's truly,
No.
Yeah. I was just reading the book, Talking to Strangers by Gladwell. And he was talking about like, when we are with, talking to strangers, we often misinterpret them a lot.
Right.
And we really need to keep an open mind more with that. So
yeah,
that's great. I love that story.
And like how you mentioned earlier about like the dog park being like your third place, right? All the relationships at the dog park were super, super unique. For example, like you mentioned, our friend Don.
Yes.
Don was one of the first people that I had ever opened up to, even before you, I think, just because he was like such a great, talker.
He was
and
always
he
there.
was like very approachable, even for someone that's like painfully shy and introverted as myself.
Yeah.
He was somebody that I started talking to like about like my immigration journey, like one of like the very first people like outside of my family. So like I think the dog park itself was like really cathartic for my life, even though I don't even go anymore. So
I know. I can't go either because my 15-year-old here, where'd he go? I just heard him. He doesn't want to go they're too young. The puppies are too obnoxious, he says.
Yeah, who wants that?
We're now strolling the city in a stroller. So
yeah, he's
that's
retired
wrong.
now.
Yeah. So let me go into that then. I did want to ask you about COVID and then transition into your journey becoming a citizen. You are a survivor of COVID. Tell me more. I only found out about it after the fact. Thank you. I could have prayed for you, but
I know.
Guess you didn't need my prayers because you made it through.
Yeah, I honestly just like was afraid that it would like consume me, I guess, because in telling even the very few people that did know, like Frank knew, my husband, like two of my friends and my sister knew, those like daily check-ins that are like, you know, they mean
well. It was overwhelming. Yeah.
Yes, it was so overwhelming just because I was like answering the same questions like 4 or 5 times a day.
Yeah.
So like in telling more people, I didn't want to be like this COVID girl. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
So what were the symptoms?
So very, very strange. And maybe this will be kind of a lesson in learning, a warning for somebody. So I went for a walk with my other friend, Amy, which will be Amy too for this episode.
Okay.
We went for a walk early in the morning. My husband, Frank, was deployed to help with the COVID efforts. So he hadn't been home. So
National Guard.
Yes. So I needed someone to go for a walk with. Fine. We go for a walk. It was, I want to say April, like late April. It was still kind of chilly. So we went early. You know, I had like the sniffles, but also like it was chilly out, not very unusual. Felt perfectly fine. Went for a full 3-mile walk, came back, take a nap, you know, feel tired. Okay, pretty normal. So I felt normal the whole day up until the evening where I was like, I just feel something was off. Okay. So by 11 p.m., I had a 103 fever. So that's the part that's scary because I definitely was out and about feeling normal for the whole day. Even went to Target after because I had to get groceries. And then literally what felt like death within 10 hours after that.
Were you able to take Tylenol or anything? Does that help with that?
So I did a few days later. I wasn't sure at the time because like the news were kind of contradicting themselves, like take fever reducers, don't take fever reducers. So I didn't do anything. My friend Amy, she did not get sick. So that we were really lucky on that because I was really worried because I spent a lot of time with her that morning.
Wow.
So that was the first day, just like death fever, just body chills, achy, like completely feeling out of sorts. The next day I woke up feeling better. But it was really strange. The next few days I would wake up feeling better, but then by like noon or early afternoon, I would start with the fever symptoms again. I did have the nausea and GI symptoms also. So like you're dehydrated, you know, you have a fever, you have extreme lethargy. A few days into it, my chest started hurting. I couldn't take a deep breath because my chest hurt really, really bad. And I did have some days where like I thought I should call 911 because I felt like super shortness of breath. But luckily I had a really good doctor that was calling me. Well, no, she would send an email daily, but would call me like every 2 days or so and be like, well, you know, don't panic. As long as you can form a sentence, that's our definitive factor on how bad your like lung function is. Like, can you do that? I'm like, yeah. So I would kind of try and talk myself down from it. But from beginning to end, it was about 3 weeks total. Like,
oh my
feeling,
gosh.
yeah,
oh my gosh.
sick. Yeah.
And now, are there any after effects?
Not that I can like.
Clumsiness?
No, sometimes like if I go upstairs or something like that, I'll feel out of breath, but I also haven't worked out or anything because I have been afraid to like push my lung function and find out that I don't have any anymore. So it could be just I'm out of shape. I don't know. I think we'll see when it's winter time, you know, with the cold air and getting a cold or the flu, we'll see what that is. You know, that's kind of what I'm worried about. Yeah.
Now, what about the dogs? How are they handled that? They notice?
So yes, I think they noticed. They were super, super great. My dogs are pretty active with me, so we're used to walks, you know, at least every day if we can. So being at home for those 3 weeks with literally just me, nobody to walk them, was a little rough for me because I feel like great guilt. Like we started having like nice spring weather at the time, and I would just be like outside on my chair like borderline dying, you
Oh
know.
my gosh.
But they did great, you know. They were not by any means like getting like antsy or destructive or anything like that. I think
Yeah.
that's really when I realized like I have some like really good dogs that are
They
like
are.
just happy to be.
They're very
You
sensitive.
know?
Yeah.
Yes, like if they get all these extracurriculars, fine. But if they don't, they're
Right.
also so
That's
they did
beautiful.
great.
Beautiful. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Thank God you're good. Okay.
Yes.
So if we go into now your journey, as like, I know this journey has been forever to become a citizen. The day we met, where were you at in the process? And then where are you now? We could go through like the whole journey.
Sure. So the day we met, I was still undocumented. Brief, just as a side note, I will never say that I was illegal or call somebody an illegal. That's derogatory. A lot of people don't know that.
Yes.
So just to put it out there, just because I've had people innocently, I think, ask me like, oh, so were you an illegal? So like that makes me cringe. Don't say it. Don't call other people it.
Right.
Yeah. So
it makes them sound like criminals.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's not nice. Like I feel like you're trying to be insulting, but if I think you know better, I will let it slide.
Yeah.
If not, then I'm gonna catch you somewhere.
Exactly.
Just kidding. But yeah, when we met, I was undocumented. And my case is a little different. I'm gonna try to like condense it because there's a lot of red tape involved. So I came here through what's called in the immigration system entry without inspection. It's EWI. It basically means that you didn't enter through a border. No border agent said yes, you're okay to come here. So yes, I came. You know, we basically snuck in so many words. Out of need, obviously, because my family, you know, had some issues. I don't think anybody thinks about why people come here. People just think that we're coming here, but no.
Well, there's a great documentary like you just mentioned. You told me to watch Living Undocumented, and it'll tell a lot of people that don't understand. There are people, sometimes their lives are threatened. There's a lot of reasons for people coming here, and everyone's, the perception of them. I hope that after this episode is over, we'll be able to like kind of dispel some of the myths about.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like nobody wants to uproot their children, leave their family behind, and start from zero. Like if given the choice, nobody's gonna do it. Like, and if you think that, like, I'm sorry, like you're not very bright. Like sit down and really pick it apart and think about why people are doing these things.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was entry without inspection, which makes it extremely, extremely difficult to gain a lawful status once you're already here, because they look at your file and they say you've broken the law. You have one option. You entered without inspection. Your option is to go back to your country and apply to come in the correct way or apply for status. That's extremely difficult when you haven't lived in your country and you have you have no job there. You have no way to prove your income because you've lived here. So you're never gonna get a lawful status. People that get visas approved to come here are people that basically the government decides are deemed safe that won't stay here to live. So students, tourists, travel visas, stuff like that. So I've been here since 1999 when I was 10 years old. When I met you, I was in my 20s. So yeah, there's no way I'm gonna go back to a country I haven't been to since I was 10 years old. I'm not gonna be able to prove anything to be able to get a visa to come here the correct way.
Right.
So that's why, you know, EUWI statuses are very, very difficult to change. My case is very, very different. And I think I feel like I have a golden ticket that not a lot of people have. President Obama passed the Family Act. I think it's called the Family Act in 2008. That basically gave.
Your catch making a cameo.
Yes.
15-year-old.
She's 14. She's leaving.
14.
Yes. So he passed a bill that allowed veteran spouses to change their status here without leaving the country. So that's what gave me, like, it literally changed everything for me.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And along with that, President Obama also passed what's called DACA, DACA, which is Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. For some people that don't know, it basically allows deportation proceedings to be stopped for people like me, the dreamers that were brought here as children through no choice of their own.
Yes.
I think I got DACA first, and was able, they basically give you a work permit and a social security number, which to us is like, it literally changes your life. You go from like not being able to drive, not being able to have a job, not being able to go to school. Like now you're like, I've been here all my life. I've been here since I was a child. Like now I feel like I'm kind of an American. Like I speak the language, I can go to school, I can do these things and like not be afraid.
Yes.
So like that was great. That was the first thing I got. It was a huge deal when it happened. I remember Navy Pier had the first, like, I think it was like a learning session for dreamers. And I mean, if you look up aerial shots of Navy Pier that day, it was super crowded. And
What
it
date?
was like, I think it was in 2012, I believe.
Okay.
Look up
I'll put that
Navy
in the notes.
Pier, yeah, Navy Pier, DACA 2012, I believe. I went there with my sister and Frank drove us because, you know, me and her didn't have a driver's license. So we were afraid that this is all just a big government ploy for a raid. You don't know that. You have to worry
Because
about
I was
it.
going to ask you, between the time of before you even have a social security number, aren't you just always walking around a little paranoid? Or how much fear is inside of you, or the anxiety you have in general? Isn't that part of it's because of this whole situation, right?
Yeah, it's so much to worry about. Like, I mean, I was driving because I wanted to work, but the jobs that I had were, you know, cash jobs sometimes, or jobs that wouldn't end up hiring me or end up paying me once they find out about, you know, that you don't have a status. I was driving because I needed to get places, but of course you're like sweating bullets anytime that, you know, a policeman comes near you, or a cop car or whatever. So yeah, that was difficult. So after a few years of having DACA, I applied for my green card through the Family Act that I mentioned earlier. And it was wild. Like sometimes like people that are already here and they apply for a marriage-based visa, like your spouse is your sponsor, and it basically says that they'll vouch for you, like, you know, even if you get a divorce, they're financially responsible for you for like, I think 10 or 15 years.
I watched 90 Day Fiance. Yes, I knew that.
Yes,
I
so
knew
like
that fact.
all of that is accurate. The government basically just doesn't want to be responsible for an immigrant on their welfare system or anything like that.
Right.
So that kind of ties the citizen to you.
Yeah.
So obviously Frank petitioned me, and through the Family Act, you get what's called a pardon, which excludes you from having to go back to your country. A lot of people that don't have a veteran spouse that qualifies under that Family Relief Act that Obama passed do get sent back to their country anyway, from anywhere to like 30 days to question mark if it gets their visa or their residency gets declined.
Just waiting on the system to work, like process everything, it's got to be maddening.
Yes, so it's crazy. So I got a letter in the mail one day from like USCIS, which is the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, saying that I had an appointment at whatever time after I had sent like what was basically my green card packet. So I'm like, okay, like I'll go. Like I don't know what it's for. It didn't say. It just said, you know, come downtown. So I did, and they handed me what was basically like, it looks like a little flashcard, like very like not formal to me at the time because it was a flashcard with like my picture on it, and a stamp. And I think it was form like 294 or something like that. I don't recall at the time. Yes. So it was like very like almost like silly. It just had my picture on it, a weird like government stamp, and I was like confused about it. So I called my brother-in-law, Marco, who had already kind of gone through the same process. So I was like, they gave me this paper, like, what the heck is this? And he was like, oh my God, like that's literally your pardon. You don't have to go back to your country to get your thing approved. So that's how I like oblivious I was. And I think I was in shock just because it literally was a literal golden ticket that looked silly, like a flashcard. And I had no idea at the time.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I was like, oh my God.
What about that one time you Snapchatted a manila envelope and it said a letter from the president and you were like, do I dare open this? Was it that? Like, it was like, do you remember what that
No,
was?
yeah, so that came way, way later.
Oh yeah, of course. It was
After
different.
like my citizenship stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was able to get that permit, which then allowed me to leave the country and come back, because that was like, it granted me status. And they basically pardoned me in the spot, so like I didn't have to like go back to Mexico and wait anymore. And it honestly came at the perfect time, because I hadn't seen like my family, or specifically like my grandmother, since we left in 1999.
Yes.
And the same thing for like, obviously, like my sisters, my parents, they haven't been back because they're not able to be back. So the minute I got that document, me and Marco literally flew to Mexico to see my grandma.
I know, and you made annual visits until she passed.
Yes,
too,
I
didn't
was
you?
trying to do for a bit, like 6 months or even yearly visits.
That's great.
I honestly just felt like I had so much making up to do for so
Yes.
many things that we've missed on my behalf, my mom's behalf, like my sister's behalf. So I had to do it, as much as I could, and I did. So
That's great.
yeah, and I'm so grateful I was able to be there, through all of this and through all these red tape and like government hoops, to be there like when she passed, to be with her, to be able to come back and tell my mom that I was with her, and be able to like relay that for her and be able to be there on her behalf. Honestly, I couldn't explain it to you. Like the best thing next to that would have been to have my mom there.
Yeah.
But that wasn't possible, so you have to like take what you can get.
You have a gift, because relating to all the times you've helped me through grief, and then we're talking about the dogs earlier, but it seems like you have this gift of being there, because you have this calm spirit and you're like the perfect person to help usher somebody into the other side.
Yeah. I do my best, but like honestly, like inside I'm either like internally screaming or just like trying to pull it together.
I know you are. That's interesting. We see like people that are all calm on the outside. Internally, we don't know what's going on in there.
Yeah, for sure.
So where are you at? Like, I wanted to throw some more myths about undocumented people, and just how, if you could help dispel some of them. I know a lot of people say that, they take all our jobs. Those illegals, they all take all our jobs.
No, we're not here to like steal your jobs. We're here to work positions that we're skilled for and we can take on. Nobody would be handing us positions that we weren't earning.
Exactly.
It's just like I'm certain there's American citizens on unemployment right now just because they can. Not obviously not a dig at any American citizen, but I can guarantee you that's happening.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we need to focus on. The will for people to come here and work, and the will of others that are already here, that lack that like effort to like pursue a career, even any position really, that are completely happy and complacent at home.
Yeah.
So like look at that first before you start, spreading myths about any of us coming here to do anything like that. And I know this is something people have heard before, but like a lot of the positions that immigrants are taking are literally positions that are tough to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes no benefits. They're probably a position you don't want.
Yeah.
So like unless you're like literally willing to go out there and like pick lettuce on your freaking feet or on your knees for hours on end for a super low wage and no benefits, because unfortunately employers are exploiting immigrants like that, then go ahead and pursue that. But I can guarantee you, you're not going to last very long.
Yeah, that's another.
The only reason we're lasting is because we have that fire under our ass, for lack of a better expression, because we're here to do more and be more, and we'll do that, regardless of any adversity. So like, you want our jobs, come and get them. You're not going to last. Sorry.
Exactly. They talk about, make sure you teach kids. I teach high school, to give them, teach them how to have grit. And it's like, I don't think I need to teach grit to the kids.
No.
They come in with a lot of grit, don't you think?
And honestly, that's not something, I mean, I guess it can be taught, but I don't know that that's correct 100% of the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how about this myth? You don't pay taxes.
That's super upsetting because yes, we pay taxes, we pay income taxes without any benefits at all.
You
My
pay
parents,
into the system and you
correct,
can't pull any benefits out. Does everybody hear
nothing,
that? Yes.
nothing at all. My parents have been working, since they got here. They'll never see Medicare. They'll never see Social Security. They'll never see like any kind of contribution at all.
Mm-hmm.
And for all those people that also seem to think that a lot of undocumented immigrants are in the welfare system, you literally need proof of citizenship to get welfare.
Yes,
So
thank
like,
you. Thank you for spelling that.
no. So like, no, that's not possible. I don't know who's saying that, but like, you cannot go to a welfare office without a social security card and proof of citizenship for yourself or like people living in your household.
Exactly.
So you're wrong,
Well,
and
let me ask you this. You own a house, right?
correct.
You pay property taxes?
Yep.
Hello, there's another tax. Oh, by the way, wait. Do you go buy clothes and groceries too?
Yep.
Do you pay taxes?
Have to.
Do you buy gas?
Yep.
Oh, do you pay taxes?
Yep. You
How about
really
you got,
do have to.
do you see
Like
this?
there's no roundabout way about it. And
I
even if
know.
people aren't necessarily like homeowners, like they're paying rent to somebody.
Yes.
Somebody's paying that,
Yes.
that contribution to taxes that,
Yes.
go to schools, go to libraries, go to parks. So like
Yes.
when people like tell other people like go back to your country or, any of those like ignorant things, like I'm literally paying to be here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
unless you can prove otherwise, which you can't, then you literally have no room to talk. So
Yes, that's another good point. Paying
Mhm.
to be here, and you're not
Yeah.
getting the benefits of like I don't pay Social Security because I'm a teacher, but I pay into a pension system that hopefully I can collect from. But
Right.
that's not the case when you are
No,
working
that's not
here.
the case. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Let me see here. I had something else. Did you have any other myths there's like a lot. I'm going to put more in the show notes for that.
Yeah. I think one of the big myths that people tend to throw around is kind of like telling people to like, get in line and like get here the correct way or whatever it is that they think. A really excellent documentary is the documentary called Documented by Jose Antonio Vargas.
Mm-hmm.
He's Filipino, but he basically made this documentary independently to like break apart why there's literally no line for us to get into. Like, even though I'm a citizen now, it's always going to be a we. Unless my family can get lawful status, like I'm never gonna feel at peace. So if you hear me saying we, that's why.
Yeah.
There's no line for us.
Mm-hmm.
If you give us a pathway, we'll abide by it. Give us a fee, we'll come up with the money. You name it, we'll do it. There is no such thing for people that came here, without inspection, EWI. There's no pathway.
Like 50 years ago, it was more of an open door policy, wasn't it? Now it's.
So not so much open door, but it was definitely more accessible, I would think.
Yeah.
And even so, if people are coming here easily, there was amnesty in the 80s. So like there was an issue then, if it was an overflow of us that needed help, they did it. And it's happening again because you didn't reform the immigration system. So like now I think it's catching up with them again. And I think a pathway needs to be figured out. And like not only for the dreamers, because I don't know if you follow the news, the DREAM Act, DACA, has been on the news. There was an attempt to pull the program, which would literally strip young people, students, people that literally are working in college, they're productive members of society, which is what they want us to be. Yes. It would strip them of the opportunity to do that. And they're doing all the things that they want us to do. They're paying taxes, they're in school, they're law abiding. In order to get DACA, I literally had to be fingerprinted at the federal level at least 8 times. So like, I'm not a criminal. I'm not a rapist.
There's another piece of myth.
I'm not a drug dealer.
Yep.
You literally have to be screened to get this. They will scrutinize you. They'll rip you apart. They'll treat you less than when you're at the office. But we'll do it, and we'll do it gladly because we need those documents.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a big push at the White House to like get it removed. It luckily didn't go anywhere, and the program is still standing. But yeah, that's a big deal right now. And that's only a little bit of a pathway. It's not a solution because all these people are still not residents. There's no pathway to citizenship. And again, it's for young people. And you have to think about the counterparts of those young people who brought them here. Like, what about my parents?
I know.
You know, they've been here for just as long as I have, working harder than me for longer. So something needs to change. Give us a pathway, you know, slap a fine on us. We'll figure it out. Like, there is no line. There is no, you know, get here or get legal. That doesn't exist.
No such thing. Yeah.
No such thing at all.
And then also isn't there, like, this is something I think a lot of people don't understand, that like the United States or all countries are given a certain number of refugees to be accepted. I know it's like, I looked it up today. I don't know, 18,000 we're supposed to accept, which I think is a small number.
Yeah.
But that's another misnomer that I think they think that everybody just coming in, taking advantage. And
yeah, no, I mean, 18,000 sounds like a low number. And I think that's, you know, if that is a correct number, they're probably being cautious. But I don't know. I mean, there's a difference between being a refugee and literally coming in from like a country like Syria or Central America, South America, or like their crime rates are like outrageous. To me, that's a true refugee.
They call that the push factor, when they push you out, like you got to get out, right?
Yes.
You came more on the pull factor, right? Or you had some issues in Mexico. You don't have to get into that, but
yeah. So yeah, we had a need to come here.
Yeah.
For sure. Again, like nobody's coming here, you know, by choice.
Yeah.
Being uprooted and all that difficult stuff. However, I think people are forgetting that. So like not everyone's crossing the border, you know, in like some shady way. A lot of undocumented immigrants that are here came here on a plane with a visa and they overstayed it, and they're undocumented. And so we not only have Hispanics, you know, like Mexicans, South America, Central America, we have Europeans. I know a pretty good number of like undocumented Polish young people, older people that overstayed their visa and they're here undocumented, and they're not, you know, a brown person working at a restaurant, which is what the stereotype seems to be. A lot of the times they're like established individuals that are educated and they're, you know, they're giving back. It's all about giving back. Like you can't exist here unless you're giving back. And I think that's the fire under our ass, unfortunately.
Giving back to the community, you mean?
And to like the country, like something.
Giving back, sending money back,
Yes. So that's kind of, I think, a big factor in what people are forgetting. It's not just people like literally crossing a border. A lot of them are flying in and they're overstaying, and they're overstaying for a lot of valid reasons. So like, I'm not knocking them either. I get it. You know, it's not easy to travel back and forth to like renew your visa and then hope that you get it. And then you might not. And then you're stuck in a country you don't know again.
Yeah. And then if you think about it, then they might be sending money back. But if you think of they're keeping the economy going, they're consuming here. So it thinks like, oh, it's appearing that they're stealing. No, they're keeping it going more, aren't they?
Yeah. And, you know, most of us that come here, at least in my experience, like we're coming here to like literally work our asses off. We're not coming here to do anything else. A lot of us do become our careers, which a lot of the time is not super healthy, because you should be more than your career and you should have more focus than just your work and have kind of a different value to yourself. But this is how we're wired. When you come here for such a big need and you have something that meets those needs, which is your work, you will become it. You can't help it.
Yeah.
You know, I wish for all of us to like find a healthy boundary in that, but it's hard.
Yeah. Can I tell my ugly immigrant story when I was in Mexico? And then we'll get into some rapid fire questions for you. And we'll close. When I went to Mexico in 2014, I think you know this story, but I want to just keep it short. I went because I had a couple timeshares, and I finally just said, I'm just going to go. You couldn't go because you were undocumented. I even invited you. I remember.
Yes, I remember that.
And so I just went.
By the way, that's so painful to like have to say no.
I know.
You can't travel. So,
So I just went to Mazatlan by myself, and I didn't realize I had been to Mexico a lot before that, just through California and going through TJ and stuff. But there was never any of this extra paperwork. So I remember in the hotel room when I was leaving, I just threw away a bunch of receipts. And when I got to the Mazatlan airport, they said, don't you have that little paper? I don't even know what the name of it is. Some sort of immigration, you know, like Some kind of.
Yeah, I forget what it is. And I recently almost lost it too when I went with my niece. And I remember being like, oh crap, like I need to find this. I don't want to do what Amy did.
Yeah,
but yes, I know exactly what you're talking
So
about.
then they go, oh, just go deal with it. And again, I'm speaking Spanish the entire trip because I was trying to work on my Spanish. So she's just go to Mexico City airport and take care of it there. So I get there, they say, oh, at the gate, they're like, oh, you need that paper to get on the plane. I mean, the plane is ready to take off. So I had to go back overnight, had to sleep overnight in the airport because the immigration office was closed. And the next morning I asked the girl, again, all of it in Spanish. I don't have my piece of paper. And she felt like, empathetic and everything. She finally goes, like, if you give me $100 in the bathroom, I'll meet you in the bathroom. And I was like, what? And I'm like in Spanish going, I don't really know how to, I think I just heard, did I just hear what I think? Okay. So I stood in the bathroom for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 13. Like, I was like, I mean, I swear to you, it was like a made for TV movie in my head. Just like, oh no, go report it to the police. No, the police are involved. If I tell that I don't have, the police are going to put me in jail. You don't want to be, so I was like freaking out. Finally, she shows up in the bathroom. I only had like $58. So I slipped her $58 like a drug deal in the bathroom. Go back, wait in line to get my papers. And I wait and I pretend that I don't know where she is. And I pretend that I didn't just give her $58 in the bathroom. And I asked the cop standing there with this machine gun, I'm like, do you know where she went? And he goes, oh, she went to the bathroom. I'm like, okay. So finally get back, she gives me my little stamp or whatever that thing is. And then I ended up having to buy another plane ticket. And another girl had this, I remember seeing another girl had the same situation. She lost her papers too. And she was sitting at the gate ready to go on the same plane I was. I was afraid to have a conversation with her about did you bribe her in the bathroom too? Yes. I didn't say anything. But we ultimately got on the plane quietly. Everybody, I did not talk to anybody. I just had all these things. Finally, I get on US soil, Chicago airport, and I go through customs, and so far so good. And boy, the taste of that alone, if that's how you feel or felt before your citizenship, I don't know how you live with such anxiety. But technically then, does that make me a fugitive?
I think at the time it did. I mean, you came in some crooked way, I guess.
Am I good
I'm
now?
not sure.
I was like 6 years ago. I think it's the first time I've ever told that story to my 20 followers.
Yes. Once I got my residency and I got like that, pardon that I talked about earlier, and I went to Mexico for that first time to see my grandma again with Marco, coming back into O'Hare. Oh my God. Me and Marco were both detained at customs for 3 hours.
Why?
Because my little travel permit, even though it was correct, because it was the first time that I had, exited and entered the country, everything was brand new. They literally had to like make sure that all my ducks were in a row. But we were literally like in this little waiting area in O'Hare, like some Twilight Zone situation with all these other foreign people. Some of them which were told like, we are not letting you be here. We're going to send you on a plane back to wherever you came from. So it was nerve-wracking. Again, it was like my first time traveling after living with that anxiety, my entire life here. But yeah, like 3 to 4 hours we were there, and they're like, you can't use your phone. Like, we'll let you know. And of course they block your signal there. So even if I wanted to like go to the bathroom and like text my mom and my sister who were waiting for us, I couldn't. Wow. So of course they were like literally like, oh my God, like their plane landed 3 hours ago. It says it landed. Like, why aren't they coming out?
So they waited for 3 hours, just hope for the best.
Yep, they waited there, and eventually they're just like giving you your documents, and they're like, welcome home. And I'm like, welcome home? Like, you're rude. Ooh. Yeah, you ruined my welcome home situation.
Thank you. And that's sad when you don't feel like you're home when you're welcomed home. Like that doesn't like it's like. Aww,
yeah, and I've honestly like never felt like I'm home. One of my good friends, when I talk about like visiting home or going back home, one time she asked me like, when are you gonna stop calling it home? Like, you've been here for like over 20 years. Yeah, I'm like, that's a good question. And I think if the country was a little bit more accepting of of our adversities and inviting, and if my family was able to like come aboard this like lawful golden ticket, I think I would feel a little bit more at home.
Yeah.
But none of that is happening. And, you know, there's just a lot of hate going around with immigrants. You know, it starts at the White House and trickles all the way down.
Yes.
So I think that that's probably why, like, you know, this home situation feels like limbo sometimes, you know. So
that's rough.
Like, I'm
Sorry
grateful, obviously, but it's really hard.
I know. I mean, that's, I think you did a great job of like bringing to light just what it was like and what it is like on your journey. So let's close with something a little lighter, more fun, hopefully. And just 5 questions. I might add one more because that made me think when you were talking. The last show you binge watched?
I binge watched Claws on Hulu. Like Claws, like, you know, your claws.
Is it scary?
No. So I like to turn my brain off. My job can be stressful. It's serious. I work at a general practice and at a ER. So I like to turn my brain off. So I watch a lot of reality TV and like trash TV
Yeah,
show.
me too. I like it too. I do the same for the same reason. The same reason.
I know, it's the best. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, I can justify this.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, Claws is basically about nails. It's not a reality show. It's about a nail salon in Florida, but there's also like a drug ring.
Okay.
And murders.
Ooh.
But it's just like it's a weird show. I'm like, oh, they're doing their nails, but they're selling drugs in the back. I'm like, okay.
Ooh.
Yes.
Ooh, crazy.
But yeah, and everyone watch it on Hulu. It's a good show. It keeps you entertained and you can just turn your brain off. So
cool. And it's a reality show based on reality?
No, it's not a reality show.
It's not a reality show. Okay, good. Okay,
yeah.
Scared me for a minute.
No.
Besides the documentary you mentioned, because you are the best, you give me the best advice of what to watch on Netflix. What is a documentary that is your favorite?
One of my favorites, well, for like a genre in general for documentaries, I do like a lot of like true crime or like I forget what it's called, but basically, I don't know. I'm losing all my English now. Like I thought.
Say it in Spanish. See if I understand.
No, it's basically like a false conviction, like when people go to jail but they're not supposed to. So like those are my favorite when they get freed at the end, which I just spoiled it. But this documentary called Long Shot on Netflix.
Oh, I think I've seen that. Yeah.
That one was so good, and I was literally like ready to cry at any moment. And it was a sad documentary because of how everything happened. But then it's like feel good at the end. So
I know I'm not much of a crier, but boy, I love to cry. So it's good to know what shows you can just turn on the crying, you know?
Oh, I'm pretty sure I'm an easy crier.
Are you?
Like, and it's not just like sobbing, but I'll like start tearing up and I'm like,
I know. I had so much fun. Well, I had so much fun crying when we put Mojo down with you. It was great. You were so
great.
Who
says that?
I know, right? I had so much fun crying with you, but it was the most beautiful moment. I can't explain it. Like,
no,
again.
it was great. And I was, I was very glad to be able to be there for you guys too. So
yeah, it was beautiful. Funniest moment with your dogs lately that would translate, of course, to a podcast or a YouTube channel. You have so many because your snaps are amazing.
I have so many. So we are doing some yard projects right now. This just happened a few days ago, and Frank had to lay down some seed in the yard because we have a big dirt patch, and we covered it with hay. Okay, tell me why my Boston Brucey thinks it's his personal pig pen, and he is rolling around on my fresh grass seed / hay and is zooming around on it, and I'm just like, this is never gonna work. Like, a good attempt was made and we had a good vision, but it's just a pig pen now, and it is what it is. And sometimes you just have to be like,
I love that. I know
you can't do much more. Like, I'm not gonna yell at him. He's just a small pig.
Funny.
Yes.
Duke, I know Duke's still rolling around in dead things. Like over here at Navy Pier, there's like dead something. He rolls in it and smells like the old dog park.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne, Brucey, excuse me, stop.
All right, 2 more. One phrase in Spanish that you think we all need to know.
So this one specifically for you, I thought about it. It's called, let me know if you know what I'm saying, but it's no te hagas pato. And it's
pato, is that
it's not a direct,
it's not a direct translation.
No.
No te hagas pato? No, I don't know that one.
Okay, so like a direct translation would be like, don't make yourself a duck. Or it's basically like, don't act stupid. Like, you know what I'm talking about. Like, no te hagas pato. Yes.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I'll put that in the
Yes.
show notes. That's a great
Yes.
one. You know, my duck motif in my book.
Yes.
That's hilarious. All right, one last question, and then we're going to meet Brucey.
Sure.
One question you wish all people would ask themselves before making judgments about others, or one question, you can just end it there. One question you want people to ask themselves after listening to this podcast, if they made it this far.
So I hate to like sound so simple, but honestly, sometimes like sitting down and asking yourself why in regards to others can go a long way. Like, you know, with
Why?
immigration, with anything, like, why did these people come here? Like, you know, why are they struggling through what they're struggling for? And, you know, why are they reacting the way they're reacting? Like, it's just like, it's such a simple way to just like sit down and dissect it and be like, you know, things aren't always what they seem, you know, at first glance. And there's probably like a bigger, more personal reason behind everything. So
good.
it's a good way to like slow down and be like, I'm gonna not be so judgy about this and see maybe if I can relate to what they're going through.
That applies
so
to every
literally
situation.
everything.
Yeah, just the ask why. What a
Yes.
great way to end this.
Yeah.
Oh, so let's get to see your
Okay, 1 second.
Bruce Wayne.
You're back.
I wonder if I should get Dukie.
You can try to.
Okay, I'll go get Duke. We're gonna see Bruce. Oh, here comes Brucey.
Brucey, who is that?
Is Kaiser coming too or no?
You want to come up here? Who is that?
Brucey!
Bruce?
Hi. This is the love affair.
Come here. Want to come down here?
Oh,
good boy.
I miss
Here.
him. I miss him.
Let me love you.
Look at this guy.
This is my baby.
Look at the baby. This is why I bonded with
It's
him.
your Uncle Dukie.
Look at Brucey.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm done.
Oh my
go
gosh,
back
he
now?
reminds me of the Mojo. If
I
everyone
know.
knows Mojo. And this is why
Yes.
we bonded. Oh, yes. And the title of our podcast, we had so many titles. Let me give you a couple. Oh, by the way, if you guys want to know, Tina, Bob's Burgers. If you haven't seen Bob's Burgers, I think you know that Esther here is Tina. Well,
Yes.
not really, but we totally call her Tina. A couple of the working titles were Ain't Gonna Let My Boston Steal My Heart from My Husband. Oops, too late. That was one of our titles.
Right.
And another one, Ain't Gonna Be No Ice Bait. I'm a Citizen Now, suckers. So that was another one, but we decided to change it.
Also a side note, I did get my citizenship finally November 2019.
Yes.
So yeah, my immigration journey is quote unquote over. I
Beautiful.
had to take the oath at the Chicago office, and yeah, it was crazy. It was like a whole ceremony.
I
and
remember. Oh.
yeah, and I have my U.S. passport now, which is wild, and it like doesn't feel real, you know. Like if
Yeah.
you would have asked me, you know, 10
Yeah.
years ago if I ever thought I could attain that, I would say no. But again, it doesn't feel like it's over unless, you know, like the rest of us, my family specifically, but you know, like thousands of people that are in the same boat in limbo can get some sort of aid in like a pathway. Then it'll feel like it's over. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
beautiful. Well, let's hope.
People
let's
go out
hope.
there and vote.
Yes.
Vote this election. Don't forget, I
Yes.
voted for the first time this year. It was awesome. So
Nice.
highly recommend.
Yes, awesome. Well, it was such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank
I
you.
really
Likewise.
enjoyed this so much. Thank you for doing
Yeah.
this.
Thank you. Bye, Dukie. Love you.
Okay. Hope to see you soon.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye.